Hello everyone, it's legit Elizabeth WWE fan,
And Smash King 24.
and welcome back to FanFic Breakdown. We're here to review your favorite fanfics from Smash Brothers and any other Nintendo related franchise. So we're just gonna get right into it. We have a different fanfic, if you will, that we're going to review. This one is called Group Therapy by Kylink. It was released over a year ago in February of 2015. It's a one-shot, so it's only one chapter and has just over 3,000 words, but despite the limited words count, I assure you it is jam-packed with a lot of emotion and good plot and good characters and so much more. So today we are going to discuss the plot, the characters, the setting, the theme, and our overall thoughts and opinions on the story. So, yes?
And just like before, if you guys have any suggestions on how we can improve the series, then feel free to, send us a comment or a PM or a request if you want us to look at a particular story. But like Ellie said, we're gonna go over those four different parts, just like we did in the previous videos. So to start off, the plot is about Lucina having trouble sleeping at night due to these horrifying experiences that she's having with Elise's future. And Elise is the kingdom where she comes from in her canon game. She isn't able to sleep one night and stumbles upon Samus in the kitchen. Despite their differences, Lucina learns something about Samus. They find out that the two have much more in common than she realized.
It is a very, very, the plot I know sounds very...
It sounds very simple.
Yeah, it does sound very simple, but it's not simple when you actually read it. It's so much more than that, and it really explores canons and headcanons. Like, you really have to, in order to really understand Lucina's mindset, you really have to play Fire Emblem Awakening. If you haven't, it's not just a good game, but it'll really give you a good grasp as to her, why she is the way she is in this story, because it's very accurate. And
I feel that Lucina's portrayal in most fanfiction isn't really accurate to how she's supposed to be in the games. That's what I think. This is one of the few stories I've actually read where, it's one of the best characterizations of Lucina I've ever seen.
And Samus, Samus.
And Samus too, yeah. But Lucina especially, because I feel like Lucina is kind of harder to write accurately. Just because for me she comes up as kind of a bland character unless you end up talking about her past, where her past is in the future. But unless you start talking about where she's from and what she's done, I feel like it's kind of hard to get how she would normally act among the other characters in the cast.
Yeah. So my biggest thing is, personally, and I know this has been debated a little bit, I talked to some people, some friends about this. I can't headcanon that Lucina has PTSD, which is talked about in the story. And so maybe it's because of that, but I really see a connection between that and how she is here. And I just think the plot, it really focuses on post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD in a good light, and not just in a oh, they're just crazy, they just need to get over it. It's more serious, but in a good way.
Yeah. I know that in the games Lucina has some supports where she talks about I know in the one with Robin, at least, she talks about her experiences with what's going on or what happens to Elise's future if they're not able to save it. And she doesn't really come off as someone who has PTSD. I feel like she's more just hiding it in a way, or she's been made to kind of like Samus in a way. Samus in this story, she kind of has to suppress these emotions in order to kind of keep herself calm and for other people not to bother her about it, which I feel like is kind of the same thing Lucina does in a way, although not as much. She doesn't come off as harsh or cold-hearted. She kind of just does her own thing and is okay being on her own, but at the same time she's kind of burdened by all these thoughts that she constantly has, having these reoccurring nightmares and these visions, and it's especially prominent when you look at Awakening and the cutscenes when you see the dark dragon destroying the kingdom and she's there all alone, and I'd imagine to be pretty traumatizing, honestly.
Oh my God.
Even though she is a swordsman and she has training in combat and an army and all that stuff, I would imagine to be pretty traumatizing.
I think it doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a swordsman, whether you carry a gun, or even if you have no weapons and are able to fight barehanded, no one can go through something like that and just walk away unscathed, mentally speaking.
Mhm.
Like, it's one thing, like, those cuts and those scrapes and stab wounds may heal, but the mental trauma and the emotional trauma from going through such hell.
Yeah, and it's not even just her, because she had to go. She didn't just lose, her home. She lost her friends. She lost her father. She
Well, not
lost
so much her friends, maybe like her friends' parents.
her friends' parents.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember how the story goes.
Well, because
exactly.
like it's the second generation kids, they all go back in time to save the future, but they all get separated, and that's why we have all those damn paralogs.
Right, okay, yeah. I didn't really play much of Awakening except for
I
the main
played
story.
the entire game.
Yeah.
I actually started another playthrough yesterday as male Robin.
I gotta pick it up again, but I feel like if I do, Fate's gameplay has kind of spoiled me, and I'll hate it. But I don't know. It was still a great story, though. I enjoyed Awakening's story more than Fate's. I'll say that.
But like back to the fanfic in
Yeah.
terms of its plot, it's again very simple, but I found overall it was very well done, and like I couldn't think of a way, like the beginning, middle, and end. I couldn't think of it going any other way. Like, I racked my brain about it earlier, and I was like, I can't imagine it ending or going another way without me being like, well, what the hell? Like, why couldn't it have been different? Like, I think how it is perfect.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Yeah. I mean, even the story is kind of short in length, and in terms of like just the plot summary seems kind of shallow. I think where this story really excels is the characters themselves, honestly, because you get to see like that there is a depth to them. There's not really so much. There's really minor development in terms of story just because of its length, but in terms of depth, you can actually see that the author really has looked at the Fire Emblem and Metroid games.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's a male or female, but I'm just gonna assume it's a female. She's able to characterize them in a way that's so accurate to their games that it actually feels like this is how Lucina and Samus would react if they ran into each other in the middle of the night, just out of the blue.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very, very well done. So I guess the biggest, I know we're trying to talk about plot, but I feel like we keep going back to characters. So I guess we'll talk about characters now. And basically, in terms of characters in this story, I know we already touched on this, but they're very in character. Like, I'm very impressed with how good and accurate that both Lucina and Samus are. And I know we talked like, oh, Lucina's kind of hard to characterize. I always just pictured her as the reason she's kind of so serious and so stoic is just because of what she's been through, and so she doesn't really know what to do. And like, she grew up having to deal with this, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like, she's kind of conditioned herself to be like very quiet and very serious, and like not really know how to be funny or how to smile too much. And I think that's kind of how Samus is as well. Like, she went through so much hell that she kind of suppressed her emotions to the point that she kind of is just like almost not robotic, but like a few steps away from it, I guess.
Well, I always kind of pictured Samus as robotic anyway, because to me she was kind of the other side of the coin when compared to the Master Chief from Halo. I always made that comparison since I played both games, and I know like Master Chief is kind of, I'm not going to get into the Halo thing, but his character is kind of the exact same, where he's just an iron soldier, that's it, no emotion, whatever he does. So I always picture Samus to be the same as that in terms of character, but female. But I don't even know if that's true or not, because I haven't really played Other M, as I said in the last video, so I don't know how Samus is honestly supposed to be portrayed in canon. I just assume she's supposed to be cold-blooded because everyone kind of writes her the same way.
Yeah. But that's where the story expands on that whole idea that she's supposed to be cold-blooded, because it really shows the gravity of like what she's done in her games, and that like, yeah, she may be cold-blooded, but she's very like, I don't know, it really does affect her. It's very, you can see in her emotion, or read, I guess, in both her emotions and her words, that like she may have come away from her events physically unscarred, but like her heart and her head are just almost irreparably damaged. And I think Lucina's like that also.
I think that Samus honestly has a soft side though. I really only get that from the Subspace Emissary from Brawl, where she teams up with Pikachu, just out of the blue. You know, I mean, I don't know if it's always like that companionship or something. I always felt like she was used to being lonely, but you know, like everyone needs somebody, right? So I think when Samus talks to Lucina in this story, she kind of sees a part of herself in Lucina, because Lucina comes up to her, because she's having these reoccurring nightmares about, you know, what's going on with the future, and then she stumbles upon Samus in the kitchen. Like, this is at nighttime, they're in the mansion, Lucina's feeling kind of hungry, so she goes down to try to look for food, but there's no food in the fridge, but she finds Samus just sitting by the stove cooking something, and then isn't sure what to say at first, because she, up until this point, she really only knew Samus through other people. She just heard what other people said about her. It's like, you know, don't talk to her, or she's scary, you know?
Yeah.
But then Samus ends up being the one to actually start the conversation, be like, you know, what are you doing up? And she just says, I've had some bad dreams about, and then she just tells her what's been, like, what she had to go through, you know? And then in telling her all of these things, Lucina finds out that Samus also comes from a darkened past.
Which I think she already knew, but I guess she didn't really understand, or not understand, but grasp just how bad it was.
Yeah. And yeah, so Samus tells her basically how she's able to cope with, you know, having to suppress these feelings of hers, and how she does it is she basically just not really gives people the cold shoulder, but kind of just keeps to herself, because she doesn't want to hurt other people. Because the way Samus sees it is that a lot of bad things happen to her, and a lot of people she's been around have suffered because of it. So,
or died.
Yeah, so by keeping herself kind of segregated from everybody else, she believes she's able to keep everyone safe, and then that she's perfectly fine with that. So that's kind of how she is able to deal with it. But Lucina is more reluctant to even tell people about what's going on, because she doesn't really know how to, like, what to do about it. She just feels miserable about the whole thing.
Right.
And it's really heartwarming when Samus tells her, you know, it's like, well, this is what fears are, you know, everyone has to go through it, and as long as there's someone here to talk to about it, then that's all that really matters, you know. And then she makes her a grilled cheese too. Like,
that was so funny. I love that. And
then it was pretty funny actually.
Christina's like, doesn't the cheese melt?
Yeah.
Because she didn't get it, because you know, her world is.
You know, I like that when authors do that with the Fire Emblem characters, especially. It's like they don't know what modern appliances are. They probably don't even know what electricity. Well, they know what electricity is in terms of magic, but in terms of, like, yeah, you can turn the light bulb on if you hit the switch. Like, they don't have that kind of thing. They usually use torches, right? Because
duly noted. I'm writing that on my phone right now. Make a one-shot of Fire Emblem characters being introduced to basic technology.
Yeah, because it's a fantasy world, right? They don't have any of that stuff. But so I always think it's kind of funny when writers acknowledge that. You know, it's like Lucina's not really familiar with the stove or even this kind of food, which is pretty common to most people here. But
oh my god, I think I eat it almost every day.
Yeah, you know, but to her it's like, what? It's like,
I want grilled cheese now, god damn it.
And she couldn't make her own because there was something about Kirby and Yoshi eating all the food. And that's another thing that authors like to do too, is that Yoshi and Kirby and King Dedede are these just gluttons that eat all the food. And I always thought it was funny.
Yeah, I guess some people might be like, well, that's not right. But honestly, I think it's funny. And, like, that whole scene was just endearing. And it was, like, a nice little way for Lucina to realize that Samus is actually not as terrifying as people think she is.
Yeah. So a lot happens, you know, despite the length of the story. And then Marth actually comes into the scene, too, where he's up because he was having nightmares, I think.
Yes,
like
about his sister.
He was also having bad dreams. Yeah, I don't know if that's a spoiler or not because I haven't played his game, but I'm not gonna.
I don't know. All he said was it was about his sister, and
I'm not gonna pursue it. But he says he's had nightmares as well, and I guess that makes Lucina feel better in a way. That's kind of where the story kind of ends. I guess she feels better that it's normal and it's okay, and as long as she has friends to talk to about it. You know, it's weird, you know, seeing Martha and Lucina in the same story though. It's like only in Smash Bros.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess it's the same thing with the whole, Crumb's my dad, but he's like 5 years older than me or something like that.
Or almost the same age as me.
I don't know how old any of the characters are.
Yeah,
I would imagine Samus to be like close to her 30s, honestly.
Yeah, late 20s, early 30s. Marth, mid to late 20s, and then Lucina, early 20s. So
I
maybe.
would say early 20s for Lucina.
Yeah, like I'm 21, so maybe she'd be about that age.
Yeah, I thought she was like around 20 in the game, honestly.
I just know that in canon, Laurent from Awakening, he's older than all the other kids because I guess he got back in time first, so he ended up aging, like passing them in age. I just remember that.
Wow, okay. So,
yeah, I know.
I did not know that, but okay.
Surprise! Okay, so I guess that's it for characters.
Yeah, not really many, honestly. I have Lucina and Samus as the main characters. That's really all.
Yeah, and then Marth just shows up, just says like, "Hey, I exist." So setting, it takes place in the Smash Mansion in the kitchen.
Yeah, next story we find has to have a setting that's not the mansion. Because this is getting kind of ridiculous, I think. It's like, man, there's so many stories that take place in this mansion that doesn't even exist in the games. It's kind of funny.
Have you ever written a story that wasn't with the mansion?
I've written a few, but most of mine, honestly, just use the mansion for the sake of, like, everyone already knows what it is, so why bother establishing something new,
Yeah.
It's just for simplicity, that's why I use it.
Yeah. So I guess I don't really need to talk about setting. So I guess the big theme is that, like everyone is going through their struggles and that it's okay to share said struggles with others because surely anyone will know what you're going through and will be able to relate. And like, even if you think that's not possible, it really is.
Yeah. If anything is ever bothering you about anything, even if you want to keep it inside, it's usually a good idea to find someone that at least on the same thinking level or has experienced it in some way or another, someone you trust. It's okay to talk to them about it.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds easy just to say it like that.
Oh yeah.
But it's something that everyone has to go through in life, honestly.
Everyone has their hardships.
Yeah, especially growing up from a kid to a teen to an adult. There's always the struggles and the difficulties and the confusion, and those are all really generic terms, I know, but everyone has their own different experiences. That's the reason why.
Yeah, both little struggles like, having to actually be an adult to the bigger struggles such as like what Lucina and Samus went through.
It's usually good to have a close friend who is kind of going through the same thing, and that's kind of what Lucina and Samus learn about each other over the course of this story.
Oh yeah. So I think my overall thoughts and opinions on this story is that it's easily one of the best I've ever read in any fandom. It's just really well done and really well thought out, and people are in character very well. The plot is something that I think a lot of people can relate to, even if you can't relate to having to slay a dragon or kill aliens. Everyone has this feeling that like either they have something that like they can't share with people or whatever, and that the theme was just really well done. So I love this fanfic and I would recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, it was pretty well written, honestly. I was surprised how well written it was, considering it was a one shot. I didn't even I saw this story when it was published, and I didn't really look at it because I kind of read it and I'm like it doesn't really seem like anything crazy. But then I actually looked at it today and I thought, wow, there's actually a lot more here than I let on at first. And no, yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites now for sure.
Yeah.
I kind of underestimated it just by looking at the cover, but they say don't judge a book by its cover. That was the mistake I made.
Idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a problem. I'm a sucker for summaries that kind of catch my eye, but this summary kind of it didn't really stand out to me in terms of what it would offer in the story. Like if you look at the actual summary, it just kind of talks about hang on here.
Lucina finds comfort in confiding with the Smasher. She's always believed to be apathetic towards everything. That's literally the summary.
That's all it says, right? Yeah.
From fanfiction.net.
So, if the summary was something like, Lucina has having trouble sleeping, and then she runs into Samus in the kitchen, and they both have a discussion about, they have something in common that they didn't realize at first, I might have actually gone in to see, but I don't know. The description to me was a little bit vague. in terms of what it was.
But I think it's a good thing that it's vague, just because like
it was.
if
No,
they
it
had have gone more into it, it would have spoiled
it
it.
definitely was. Yeah, no, looking back now in hindsight, it's like you could have just pretty much just spoiled the whole thing in the summary if you wanted to, but no.
Yeah.
You kind of have to look on the inside to see what this story actually offers, and it did give me a nice little warm feeling by the end, and I was all happy.
Yeah, like I read it when it first came out, and I've saved it since then as one of my favorites, and I even reviewed it under my pen name, and I love it. It's one of my. I will
say for sure that this is definitely one of the best instances where Lucina has been written in character, honestly, because I've read a lot of stories about Lucina in Smash, and for the most part, not many people know how to write her. They usually just write her however they feel like it. Like I've seen Lucinas that are hyperactive, which to me is like that's complete opposite what she's.
Oh yeah.
She's not supposed to be mellow, but she's supposed to be kind of like down to earth, maybe a little bit naive.
Yeah.
But also knowledgeable in terms of certain things, such as I would say like in terms of fighting, in terms of knowing the risks and things like that of what could possibly happen if a wrong decision was made. I would say she's pretty smart, but people should never write her just like as a bimbo.
No.
Like, I don't know how people do that.
I'd be like, if you did that to Samus, I'd be like, no thanks.
Yeah. It's like, and I've seen Samus pretty bad too. Like, I don't know, Samus to me isn't the kind of girl to just like to be like Princess Peach, where it's all bubbly and stuff. Like I've seen that before too, and I don't like that. That's just...
no. Samus seems like the type that would dread that kind of thing.
Yeah. But you know, that's how it is. People just like to write about their favorite characters, you know.
They just write them however they want to write them.
I'm the same way, you know. I write Ike however I feel like, despite I haven't played Path of Radiance.
Yeah, like I tried to write when I did Gone Away Like JFK. I tried to write Lucina and Samus in character, but the thing was because it was an AU and because it was like what they had gone through in their games had never happened. It was like, well, you know, like I'm trying to keep them in character, but like I can't keep them too in character, so it's like a very hard struggle depending on what you're writing. But in this case, it's so well done, and like I applaud this person for that. It's like I give them 2 thumbs up, 5 stars, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, whatever.
Definitely check this one out for anyone here who's at least a little bit curious about. I mean, I guess we kind of glossed over the entire story just in this one video, but
oops.
No, I would definitely say check it out. At least give the author the views or the
link
follows.
will be in the description below, so feel free to check it out.
And yeah, so it was a really good story, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, definitely check it out. Anyone who's a fan of Fire Emblem or Smash Bros. A fan of Lucina, Samus, or Smash Bros. I'll say that for sure. Yeah.
Yes. So I think that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, that wraps everything up. Okay.
So don't forget to like this video and subscribe, leave a comment with a suggestion, or you can PM us. Our Twitters and our fanfiction profiles are in the description below, so feel free to check those out.
And thanks for watching, everyone.
Yes, my name is ElizabethWWEFan.
And I'm Smash King 24.
Signing off. Happy smashing.
Happy smashing.